Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to English 101. I'm your instructor, Todd Soul. In this video, I'm going to talk about what do you do now that you've submitted an essay to a peer group and how you provide feedback. And you have two options for doing this. So you can either do what I call a peer letter, or you can write comments in a Word document. It really depends on what style is yours and what suits you. They're both very straightforward and rather easy to do. But then now you've submitted your first draft, you're going to have to go in and read two essays and either write a peer letter or write comments on those two essays and then share the files just the way you did with your first draft. So let's get into our weekly folder and I'll show you how this process works. And by the way, the first draft of our next essay process is due at the end of this week as well, but more on that later. Let's talk about peer review. So here's process that I mentioned, and I should be posting a video here soon talking about that as well as an update on how things went last week. I'm going to zoom ahead here to providing comments. Now, the option is to write a peer feedback letter. That's this option right here. And I've attached an example of what that looks like. I'm just going to show you one here. And this is not the letter. This is just a document running behind it. Here we go. So this is typically about the length of a peer letter. This is close to 2 pages. I always say 1.5 to 2 pages long. And this is from a student last year that gave me permission to talk about this and use her as an example. So what she's done is this was an essay, an analysis essay, a little bit different than what we're doing. And he was talking about Volkswagen and some of the issues and campaigns that the company has been involved with over the years. And she was always good at writing these letters. And you can see this is the way we open a friendly letter. You notice we're not using MLA format. It's just like if we were handwriting a letter, except you'll be typing it. She talks about what's going on well, talks about description, flow of thoughts, talks about real life examples, and integration of sources. And then she says, here are a few suggestions to consider. And that's really what we're after. So what I usually tell people is go back to the rubric. That'll be in the week 1 folder. Read through the entire rubric so you have an idea of what all the ingredients are. Now, you should have done that already, although I'm kind of worried some of you did not, which means that your final essay may have to be rewritten. So you want to go back through the rubric. And first of all, just read through, the whole essay and then go back with the rubric and see what you can offer them in terms of advice. And just like any letter, make sure you sign it, sincerely, regards, with their full name as well. This is so much easier when we are in class because literally we just take papers and hand them out. And in the space of an hour, you read 2 essays, maybe more. And you get to chat about it face to face. And of course, COVID has made that a little bit more difficult, but things are looking up for the fall. So peer letter, that's one option you have. Again, you'll need to write those to 2 different people. Now, one thing I want to say is when you look at your peer group, look at the whole list to see who's already got 2 letters or 2 comments. Because if somebody already has 2 letters, doesn't make sense for you to go in and write like a 3rd or even a 4th letter for them. So we're trying to share the wealth and make sure everyone gets at least 1 or 2 letters or comments on their essays. As I tell people, this is about as close as we come to socialism, sharing the wealth in class. But there is another way I think that's even a little bit more powerful and targeted than a letter. And let me show you how to use the comment tool in Word. So I'm going to just minimize this for a second. So feedback letter, we talked about that. The other option, is to write your comments using the comment tool in Word. So what I've done is I've just pulled up a Word document. And this is the one I did. My dad wants to shoot your dogs. This is a sarcastic title. I was very sleep deprived. And if you've read this narrative, you kind of get the punchline of it. But let's say I was going to go in and take a look at this essay And the first thing I would do is, of course, just read it from, top to bottom, make sure I did that all. And then I would go back and see, are there areas in the rubric that I want to comment on, either compliment or point out concerns. The first thing I notice here is that I did a nice job kind of providing what we would call a soft beginning, the setting details. So I want to talk about this paragraph. So what I've done is I've just highlighted it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide over up here from home all the way over to review. And then I'm going to use the word comment. And right away, you'll see what happens. The page kind of resizes. Here's the highlighted passage. And it provides room for me to say something. So I could say, hey, Todd, I appreciate all the setting details right up front at the start of your essay. So this is kind of a, little praise comment, you might say. They might say, hey, your twin daughters, Annika and Kristen, this is many years ago, they are both married and we have grandchildren now. You might say something like, can you tell us a bit more about them? The experience of twins. Let me tell you, it's an experience. If you ever felt like a comma was missing somewhere, like maybe we want to put one here, I could just highlight that little space and write something like comma. Or I might say something like, oh, let's move ahead here. Like here, you might say sentence fragment. You notice that's not really quite complete, but if you're not sure, you could always put a question mark by it. In this case, I think it's unacceptable. And then, of course, if you want to look at your comments when you're done, you can go to the multi-page view and you can see how much you're writing. Now, you do need to write a considerable number of comments. This is just a beginning I'm doing here right now. So when you think of about, double space, you can't double space these comments, but when you think about it, we still want about a page and a half of text that you've created or close to that. But the nice thing about using the comment tool is that it's very, very, very targeted. And again, if I click on this and go back to page width, any comment I click on will show me the highlighted language, and I can go in here and so forth. Here's the most important thing. When you are ready, you want to go in and you want to save this with something like your name and the writer's name. So I could say, I'm going to go in here, say, oops, there we go. Todd's comments to Todd, something along that line. And this is the same with the peer letter, primarily because we want to make sure that what we're writing is clear so that when they open the files to find, the letters addressed to them, they can clearly see, oh yeah, this is for Todd. It was written by Todd. Of course, that's a little awkward here. I'm going to cancel this because I'm not going to do this, of course. So in a nutshell, again, you have two options. You can write a peer letter or you can write comments. And again, you need to do that for 2 essays. Make sure you look at the list and see who's already received comments or letters so that you're not doing more if they already have had, 2 sets of those. So that's how the process goes. I think you'll find it really interesting. A lot of students tell me they like reading another person's essay just because it reassures them like, oh, this is what I need to do. Or yes, I'm doing it right. So this is an important part of the course. You don't want to skip this. It's valuable feedback. In an online course, I can only do comments at the very end. I can't do it in both places, but your peers can be of enormous help in your revision. So we'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.